Hummingbirds. Author Selzer-McKenzie. The pictures have author move on Rocky Mountains, USA. Hummingbirds are birds in the family Trochilidae, and are native to the Americas. They can hover in mid-air by rapidly flapping their wings 1290 times per second, depending on the species. They can fly backwards, and are the only group of birds able to do so. Left square bracket 1 right square bracket. Their English name derives from the characteristic hum made by their rapid wing beats. They can fly at speeds exceeding 15 meters per second, 54 kilometers per hour, 34 miles per hour. Hummingbirds feed on the nectar of plants and are important pollinators, especially of deep-throated, tubular flowers. Like bees, they are able to assess the amount of sugar in the nectar they eat. They reject flower types that produce nectar which is less than 10% sugar and prefer those whose sugar content is stronger. Nectar is a poor source of nutrients, so hummingbirds meet their needs for protein, amino acids, vitamins, minerals, etc. by preying on insects and spiders, especially when feeding young. Most hummingbirds have bills that are long and straight or nearly so, but in some species the bill shape is adapted for specialized feeding. Thornbills have short, sharp bills adapted for feeding from flowers with short corollas and piercing the bases of longer ones. The sickle bills, extremely decurved bills, are adapted to extracting nectar from the curved corollas of flowers in the family Gesneriaceae. The bill of the fire-tailed arrowbill has an upturned tip, as in the avocets. The male tooth-billed hummingbird has barracuda-like spikes at the tip of its long, straight bill. The two halves of a hummingbird's bill have a pronounced overlap, with the lower half, mandible, fitting tightly inside the upper half, maxilla. When hummingbirds feed on nectar, the bill is usually only opened slightly, allowing the tongue to dart out and into the interior of flowers. Like the similar nectar-feeding sunbirds and unlike other birds, hummingbirds drink by using podroceable grooved or trough-like tongues. Left square bracket 3 right square bracket. Hummingbirds do not spend all day flying, as the energy costs of this would be prohibitive. The majority of their activity consists simply of sitting or perching. Hummingbirds feed in many small meals, consuming many small invertebrates and up to 5 times their own body weight in nectar each day. They spend an average of 10 to 15% of their time feeding and 75 to 80% sitting and digesting. Hummingbirds are specialized nectarivores, Stiles, 1981, and are tied to the ornithophilous flowers they feed upon. Some species, especially those with unusual bill shapes such as the sword-billed hummingbird and the sickle bills, are co-evolved with a small number of flower species. Many plants pollinated by hummingbirds produce flowers in shades of red, orange, and bright pink, though the birds will take nectar from flowers of many colors. Hummingbirds can see wavelengths into the near ultraviolet, but their flowers do not reflect these wavelengths as many insect-pollinated flowers do. This narrow color spectrum may render hummingbird-pollinated flowers relatively inconspicuous to most insects, thereby reducing nectar robbing. Left square bracket 4 right square bracket left square bracket 5 right square bracket. Hummingbird-pollinated flowers also produce relatively weak nectar, averaging 25% sugars W/W, containing high concentrations of sucrose, whereas insect-pollinated flowers typically produce more concentrated nectars dominated by fructose and glucose. Hummingbird flight has been studied intensively from an aerodynamic perspective using wind tunnels and high-speed video cameras. Writing in Nature, the biomechanist Douglas Warwick and co-workers studied the Rufous hummingbird, Selasphorus rufus, in a wind tunnel using particle image velocimetry techniques and investigated the lift generated on the bird's upstroke and downstroke. They concluded that their subjects produced 75% of their weight support during the downstroke and 25% during the upstroke. Many earlier studies had assumed, implicitly or explicitly, that lift was generated equally during the 2 phases of the wing beat cycle, as is the case of insects of a similar size. This finding shows that hummingbirds hovering is similar to, but distinct from, that of hovering insects such as the hawk moths. Left square bracket 8 right square bracket. The giant hummingbird's wings beat at 8-10 beats per second. The wings of medium-sized hummingbirds beat about 20-25 beats per second and the smallest beat 70 beats per second. With the exception of insects, hummingbirds while in flight have the highest metabolism of all animals, a necessity in order to support the rapid beating of their wings. Their heart rate can reach as high as 1,260 beats per minute, a rate once measured in a blue-throated hummingbird. Left square bracket 9 right square bracket. They also consume more than their own weight in nectar each day, and to do so they must visit hundreds of flowers daily. Hummingbirds are continuously hours away from starving to death, and are able to store just enough energy to survive overnight. Left square bracket 10 right square bracket. Hummingbirds are capable of slowing down their metabolism at night, or any other time food is not readily available. They enter a hibernation-like state known as torpor. During torpor, the heart rate and rate of breathing are both slowed dramatically, the heart rate to roughly 50-180 beats per minute, reducing the need for food. The dynamic range of metabolic rates in hummingbirds, SARS and GAS 2002, requires a corresponding dynamic range in kidney function, Bakken et al. 2004. The glomerulus is a cluster of capillaries in the nephrons of the kidney which removes certain substances from the blood, like a filtration mechanism. The rate at which food is metabolized is called the glomerular filtration rate, GFR. Most often these fluids are reabsorbed by the kidneys. During torpor, to prevent dehydration, the GFR slows, preserving necessities for the body such as glucose, water and salts. GFR also slows when a bird is undergoing water deprivation. The interruption of GFR is a survival and physiological mechanism unique to hummingbirds, Bakken et al. 2004. Studies of hummingbirds' metabolisms are highly relevant to the question of why a migrating ruby-throated hummingbird can cross 800 kilometers, 500 miles, of the Gulf of Mexico on a non-stop flight, as field observations suggest it does. This hummingbird, like other birds preparing to migrate, stores up fat to serve as fuel, thereby augmenting its weight by as much as 100% and hence increasing the bird's potential flying time. Hummingbirds, like most organisms with very rapid metabolisms, have short lifespans and many die during their first year. Those that do survive their first year have an average lifespan of 3 to 4 years. The longest recorded lifespan is from a female broad-tailed hummingbird that was tagged then recaptured 12 years later, making her at least 12 years old. The oldest known rufous hummingbird is a banded bird that was 8 years and 1 month old. Left square bracket. Hummingbirds are found only in the Americas, from southern Alaska to Tierra del Fuego, including the Caribbean. The majority of species occur in tropical Central and South America, but several species also breed in temperate areas. Only the migratory ruby-throated hummingbird breeds in continental North America east of the Mississippi River and Great Lakes. The black-chinned hummingbird, its close relative and another migrant, is the most widespread and common species in the western United States, while the rufous hummingbird is the most widespread species in western Canada. Left square bracket 13 right square bracket. Most hummingbirds of the US and Canada migrate south in fall to spend the northern winter in Mexico or Central America. A few southern South American species also move to the tropics in the southern winter. A few species are year-round residents in the warmer coastal and interior desert regions. Among these is Anna's hummingbird, a common resident from southern California inland to southern Arizona and north to southwestern British Columbia. The rufous hummingbird is one of several species that breed in western North America and are wintering in